Humility is the bridge between confidence and faith. Now, I know you're probably wondering, Jordan, what does that mean? I'm going to get to that in a second. But before I get into that, I want to share a quick little story with you guys. So, for those of you who haven't been following me since March of 2020, which I'm assuming is probably 99.9% of you, in March of 2020, I quit my job at H&M. Now, I know I've told that story hundreds, if not thousands of times on my channel, but I've rarely, if ever, told the story with full context. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to read a journal entry that I made from that day. Today, I put in my 2 weeks notice at H&M. It's March 9th, 2020. I turned 20 in exactly 5 days, and I just made the dumbest decision of my life. At least, that's what most people would tell me. As I write this sentence, I have exactly $621.32 to my name, and H&M is my primary, and by primary, I mean only source of income. With that being said, I've only told a few people, all coworkers, about my decision, and the majority of them reacted exactly how I expected them to react. They questioned the logic behind my decision as well as my plans for the future. I say majority because there was one person that truly seemed to have faith in me, and that was the head manager, Nick. He told me that if I have dreams, I should chase after them, and that I shouldn't let this job get in the way of my ultimate goals. So, I've said a lot more in the journal entry, but that was the most important bit. That right there was the biggest risk that I've ever taken in my life until 3 days ago. 3 days ago, I made a decision that could very well alter the trajectory of my life moving forward. And let me give you guys some context behind that decision first and foremost. So, I've been pretty transparent about this, but recently I've been struggling financially. I've probably exaggerated just a little bit. It's not like I'm broke or going broke per se. It's more like I've been breaking even, and that's obviously not a very comfortable position to be in, especially when you're living on your own and paying all of your own bills. With that being said, I'm a little bit crazy, and I feel like a part of me actually thrives off of being in high pressure situations. And so I feel like, in a sense, my financial struggles as of late have brought out the best in me. And what I've realized is that I need to be in situations where I am forced, where I am obligated to rely on my faith. Now, that brings me back to the statement that I made at the beginning of this video. Humility is the bridge between confidence and faith. I've been known to take very large leaps of faith in my life. I dropped out of college with no backup plan. I started a YouTube channel a week later with no vision at all for it. I quit my job to pursue YouTube full time, as stated in that journal entry. And a few days ago, I decided to renew the lease on my apartment. Now, like I said, I've been in a position where financially I have been struggling. Very, very uncomfortable, not able to put any money away, having to dig into my savings, so on and so forth. And honestly, that's kind of the nature of not just YouTube, but self-employment in general. But I digress. That's a different discussion for a different day. Basically, I made this decision because I wanted to renew my sense of faith. You see, like I said, I've been known to take leaps of faith on myself, or better yet, leaps of faith on the divine. But at the same time, I've also made some very, very egoic decisions that were rooted in confidence. For example, me going out and leasing a brand new 2022 BMW 330i. I remember at the time I saw it in my mind as a leap of faith. I felt like I'm going to make the money, therefore I'm just going to get the car because I know I'm going to make the money. The problem lied not in the fact that I got the car, but in the reasoning, in the justification for me getting the car. Like I said, it was rooted in confidence and not faith. The missing ingredient was humility. You see, humility isn't a lack of confidence. Humility is something that, when added to confidence, turns into faith. What's the difference between confidence and faith? Confidence is when you believe in yourself. Faith is when you believe in the divine, when you believe in the powers that be, in the universe, in God. Or, to put all of those terms to the side, it's when you believe that everything is working out in your favor. And generally speaking, a move that you make that's rooted in confidence will have little to no upside. You see, me going and getting that BMW, there was little to no upside to that decision, other than me being able to indulge in my, car guy tendencies, being able to enjoy the actual driving experience of driving that BMW for $718.94 per month, as well as $209 a month for insurance. And also, I guess, having that initial hit of dopamine from actually driving the car off the lot, and I guess building my credit up as well. Aside from those things, there was really no upside. You see, me having my own apartment has allowed me to do inner work that I would not have otherwise been able to do because I have the solitude, I have the space, I have the silence, the stillness. I have access to these things at any time that I want because I live on my own. And that's something that if I had chosen to move back in with my parents, which I was very close to doing a few days ago, believe me when I tell you that, I'll get into that in a second. If I had moved back in with my parents, I wouldn't have necessarily had the space to do that inner work. You see, this year, 2022, this year has been a lesson in humility. When I made that decision to quit my job back in 2020, I was not a very confident person. But that decision right there, not only did it enable me to develop that faith, but it renewed my confidence. I developed more confidence in myself and I learned to bet on myself. But what I've realized is that that is a flawed line of thinking if you actually want to get anywhere in life. If you want to get somewhere in life, confidence can help you get there because you need confidence in order to have faith, but you also need that humility. And I feel like 2020 and 2021, 2 years in which my channel received major explosive growth, I developed that confidence. 2022 has been about developing that humility and getting back to that place where I know that things are going to work out, but understanding that the how is beyond me. That right there is the difference. You see, when you're confident, you feel like you know everything. You feel like you have all of the answers and you know exactly how everything needs to happen. But what I've learned is that there's a much more efficient and enjoyable and sustainable way to allow your manifestations to come into fruition. And that's by faith. Faith is when you surrender to the divine. Faith is when you are no longer betting on yourself, but you're betting on God. That's where I'm at right now. A few days ago, I actually sent the email to my apartment complex telling them that I was going to cancel my lease. I was not going to be renewing my lease moving forward. I called my parents. I told them that I was going to be moving back in with them, presumably, or at least moving somewhere else. Whatever. I wasn't going to be in this apartment anymore. But something about that didn't sit right with me. It didn't sit well in my gut. It reminded me a lot of that time before I quit my job at H&M when I was trying to rationalize why I should continue working there. And of course, at that time, the biggest fear was that I was going to go broke. Like I said in the journal entry, it was my primary, and by primary, I mean only source of income. And I'm in a very similar position right now. I'm in a position where even though I would say the outlook is a lot brighter for me right now than it was then, the risks are also much more tangible in the sense that if I don't make that money, if I'm not able to increase my income to the point where I can at least put money away to pay my taxes, I'm going to find myself in a very sticky situation. Things are not going to be very good for me. But I have faith. Like I said, I'm not betting on myself. This isn't like when I went and got that BMW and I was betting on myself. This is me betting on something that is beyond me, yet within me at the same time. Some people call it God, some people call it the universe, some people call it the divine. I use those terms interchangeably. I don't care what it's called. I just know that it works because it's worked in my life. It's worked in the lives of millions, really everyone. It works in the lives of everyone because we all exist. We all exist. The chances of you being born were slim to none. Statistically speaking, you are not supposed to be here. And with that being said, being born is the hardest thing that you'll ever have to do. And in times of doubt, that's what I remind myself of. I've already done the hardest thing that I'll ever have to do in my entire life. Being born. Everything else, increasing my income and doing it in a way that doesn't compromise my integrity, that's natural. That's natural for me because the universe, God, the divine, my higher self, so on and so forth, these powers work for me and they work through me. They work through me with all of these videos. I don't script these videos out. And I don't think of these videos either. I turn this camera on and I let God speak through me. And that's where you get these videos like this. That's where you get 2 books published in 1 year by the end of 2022. That's where you get all of this random insight. A lot of times I turn this camera on and I start talking and I don't know what I'm going to say. But I surprise myself even. I'll say something and I don't even know where it came from. But at the same time, I do know where it came from. It came from a place beyond me. And it also came from a place within me. Because the only place to go, the only way you can find that place beyond yourself is to go within. And when I went within a few days ago, when I sent that email telling them that I was going to be leaving this apartment and moving elsewhere, I looked within and I realized that I was acting from a place of fear and not faith. I had lost my confidence. I had replaced my confidence with humility, but what I realized is that you need both because those are the two essential ingredients of faith. And faith is what moves mountains. Faith is what takes you to wherever the fuck you want to go in this life. And I am living, breathing proof of that. And this situation right here, me renewing this lease and making these videos in my apartment, will be yet again another testimony to faith, the power of faith. Faith is inevitable because in having faith, you understand that the best possible outcome is already there. It's already waiting for you. That reality already exists. All you have to do is align with the version of you that's already there. And what I had to realize is that the version of me that's already there, he doesn't operate based on fear and scarcity.